A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another, well, this is not really a book review this time, but I'm looking at Retro Sci-Fi Tales issue 10 featuring Horrorwood. You can see from the cover we have the classic movie monsters, even the back cover has them as well. Now, technically this isn't a horror comic, so to speak, but this is just something that I read and absolutely loved, and it fits straight into the Plaguelands Media October Horror Review Fest. So here it is, coming right up. No spoilers in this one because you really need to read this for yourself. So let's get straight into the next episode of So this is issue 10 of Retro Sci-Fi Tales, and you might be wondering, why am I kind of doing a review of this in October when it's like the horror month for Plaguelands Media? But you can see by the tag at the bottom, it is Horrorwood, part 1 of 2. So we get the first part of this horror story in this issue. Now, for those of you that don't know what Retro Sci-Fi Tales is, it is an anthology series of comics produced by Dark Oz Comics, written by Darren Kozel, friend of Plaguelands Media, of course. This is issue 10, but as you can see by my massive collection here, I am a huge fan of Retro Sci-Fi Tales. These are anthology books that are in the same vein as the old, Tales from the Crypt style, The Haunt of Fear, but more in keeping with the weird science from the old EC Comics. So Dark Oz Comics is kind of keeping this vibe alive of these old school kind of anthology sci-fi, in this case horror stories, which I am an absolute huge fan of. Now I'm going to kind of go through this one, hopefully not spoiling anything, and I apologize if there are spoilers, but with something like this, it's kind of inevitable. I will try my best to keep it spoiler-free, because I firmly believe that if you get the chance to read these issues from 1 to 10, it's best to go in there blind, because they have some fantastic payoffs. Already you can see on the cover, we have the old style car, Dracula, the Mummy, Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and some dark hound. So immediately upon kind of opening this, you can check out the art, which is absolutely phenomenal. I love the art style of these Retro Sci-Fi Tales. I think they are just perfect for the stories that they tell. You've got a group of kids. They get freaked out. It is established this is Australia in 1980, which in and of itself is cool, because I'm Australian and this was really the time that I grew up in. So we get Bruno and Maggie, who are our kind of protagonists. Immediately, you can see that it is supposed to be Mulder and Scully from the X-Files, although Bruno seems to be wearing a tinfoil hat. The chemistry between these two characters is fantastic. It had me laughing on almost every page. And they are kind of going to check out what these kids saw. They meet these kids at this diner. Now, this, to me, whether intentional or not, was a throwback to the second X-Files episode from 1993, which was called Deep Throat, where Mulder and Scully were investigating UFO sightings around an Air Force base, and the two kids that had apparently seen this stuff, Mulder and Scully met them at a diner and fed them and whatnot. Fun fact: the actor that played the male kid was Seth Green. Seth Green, who went on to do a ton of other stuff. Oz from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Robot Chicken nowadays. So they talk to these kids, kind of get an idea. The kids tell them, we'll take you to where we saw these monsters. There's a little kind of fun Bunyip reference there. And Bruno and Maggie decide to kind of camp out and see if their equipment will find anything. They are, in fact, startled by something. They don't know what it is. They meet the kids in their clubhouse, which is a barn, and they start to make kind of weapons and stuff to combat these monsters. At this point, I'm going to stop it here because I don't want to spoil the payoff for this story. I'm just going to move along. There is a great commercial for an authentic foil hat. But it is a really cool first story for this issue of Retro Sci-Fi Tales. Then we get Pool, which is very short, but incredibly surprising. These aliens are trying to lift off with their ships, but each time they do, the ship gets blown up, and they're trying to work out what's going on. Once again, I'm not going to spoil that because it is a really good payoff. So I'm just going to move along to Valley of the Dinosaurs. Now, this is exactly what you would expect it to be. It's a really great homage to early kind of H.G. Wells, Jules Verne style science fiction. Very satisfying story, I might add, with the fantastic art where they come across this hidden valley that has dinosaurs. And it's basically a moral dilemma. Do we continue, or do we reveal where this valley is, or do we let it go? It's a really well done story. The writing is top notch in this. We're kind of getting it from a single character's perspective, but it's very, very well done. And a really great story with art, of course, by Mr. Ian Van Gammett, who is a Plaguelands media persona, I should say, one of our flunkies. Then we have A Few Words in the Right Ears. Now, this story surprised me. I will admit this. I did not see where this was going. This has a few humans coming across an AI who they basically are pleading with this thing. Humanity's dying out. What can we do? And this AI kind of helps them out a bit. Lets them know how to keep this species alive. Once again, I am not going to spoil it because this one really was freaking cool, and I don't want anyone to get to have that spoiled. We have more art by my good friend Ian Van Gammet from Plaguelands Media. You can see like the Mummy, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, and the Wolfman there. Just fantastic. And then we have Captain Ice in Space Mummies. Now, Captain Ice is a character that has appeared in pretty much all the retro sci-fi tales. This is really a throwback to like Flash Gordon, that kind of a thing. And at this point, they come across a planet where it's kind of like a dead planet, and they have a bunch of mummified remains in orbit around the planet. They believe that the mummified remains were not kind of from the planet itself, because there's like metal in the bandages. The belief is that these corpses were kind of sent there and drawn there by the kind of magnetic attraction. But something goes awry, and the mummies wake up and start attacking the ship, and that is where Retro Sci-Fi Tales issue 10 kind of ends. So you're really getting an anthology here of multiple stories with a bit of a horror theme to it, and that is why I am reviewing this. This was an absolutely fantastic issue. I loved the Mulder and Scully reference in the first story. The twists that come with the other stories are great. The writing, especially in Valley of the Dinosaurs. Valley of the Dinosaurs, I thought when I went into it would be boring. Absolutely not. The writing itself is just phenomenal. It just brought me back to reading those Jules Verne and H.G. Wells stories as a kid. All in all, I cannot say enough good things about Retro Sci-Fi Tales. There is a new Kickstarter I'm sure will be coming out for issue 11. I urge you all to back it. And by all means, go and check out Dark Oz Comics. Go and check out Retro Sci-Fi Tales. You will not be disappointed. I have the complete collection, as you can see, with, some issues. I got the multiple covers, like issue 9. I've got different covers for issue 9, just because I firmly believe that this style of comic needs to make a resurgence, and it can't do that without the help of fans like me, like all of you that are watching this video right now. Absolutely loved Retro Sci-Fi Tales issue 10, featuring Horrorwood, an absolutely fantastic issue. Please like, subscribe, follow the channel, hit the notification button. Check out Dark Oz Comics and Darren Kozel's work. It's so worth it. If you're a fan of this kind of thing, it is absolutely 100% worth your time. But most importantly, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your day, and of course, read a fucking Retro Sci-Fi Tales comic, people.